Hey, once again, we are here with you. I am Sheila Wiley, a disciple for Christ. And of course, I am a narcissist abuse advocate. And we are back today for yet another piece of information, piece of my life as it relates to the horrific narcissistic abuse that I encountered while in religion. So we focus on this channel, narcissism in religion. However, all of the characteristics of a narcissist are the same. So whether they're inside of the church, whether they're outside of the church, all of the characteristics are generally the same because they're what? All demons. All right. So today's broadcast will be talking about the narcissist and holidays. Okay, so how does the narcissist act during holidays? And when I say holidays, I may mean 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Christmas. So I had a chance to spend a few holidays with this narcissist because his family was like in a different state. At one point for the holiday, he, would go home and supposedly spend it with his family back at home. That was one time. And so leading up to that, of course, he did not have any money to pay for his airline ticket. So what he would do is, because he know that the holiday was coming up, one of the times he made up some kind of situation where, I had to get back for a funeral. So that was his way of trying to manipulate me into paying for his plane ticket. Then the next time he was saying that, I always get on the grill, for the holiday at my son's house, but, I just can't go this time. And so what he'll do is he'll try to muster me up, by being on his best behavior, like maybe days or maybe even weeks. And as I began to learn him, but I still did not know at the time that he was a narcissist. I just noticed that he operated in a pattern when he was just like, when he had what he wanted, he would act like totally outrageous. However, when it was something that he was wanting to get, he would become the sweetest person. And then, of course, just like a child, butter you up and then ask for what he wanted. He got it. And even after he would get things that same day, moments later, after I spent my money, he would go back to acting the fool because I guess by this time he knows that, this ticket is in my name. So, you can't get your money back. Nah, boo boo. So it was just those things where you just be so manipulative and cunning. All right. So when we were here, when he could not go out of town, narcissism and the holidays, like he would have me stuck at his place alone, right? He would not want me to go anywhere. So what he'll do is he'll because he loves to grill and he had a grill, he would send me on these little trips with these long lists to get all this food, knowing that it was just him and I there with all that food, right? All that food. And then I'm basically spending my holiday cleaning his place, walking the dog, sitting watching TV while he states that, because remember he was supposed to be a pastor, but he was a cult leader. He would basically say, the main pastor want me to come over to his house and try his ribs. Now, in the beginning, because like I stated, I never knew what was going on. So so it would upset me. I'm like, hold up. So you're going to be gone all day? And he's like, but he would not invite me to come with him. So I wouldn't even ask. I think I probably asked one time, but he's like, how, he'll use the pastor because he know that I was a secret at the church that we both resided. So that was his way of not telling me too much information or his way of getting out of or getting away with what he was doing. Right. That was his way of getting away with what he was doing and me not questioning, because I know that if he said that pastor, then I'm not going to question him at all. So gone all day. And I'm like, oh, my God, looking at the time. And I'm like, wow, it's almost dark. So I called him. I'm like, hey, actually, I wouldn't call him for a while because I didn't want to interrupt him. So I'm like, hey, when I finally called, I'm like, hey, is everything okay? And he's like, I'm on my way. So then he comes back, he'll grill, and it's just him and I eating now after I'm ticked off because I'm like, I've been in this house by myself all day long. And then he's like, well, what did you want me to think? I'm a pastor and this and that. So basically, now that I look back on it, he was at a few people's houses. Another thing that would get me, that kept me from thinking otherwise, that he may have been somewhere, he would say, like, don't nobody ever invite me over to their place. No one invite me over, because I would say, none of the pastors invited you over. So I guess that just let him say, like, you know what, let me just start telling her that I'm being invited over to the main pastor's house. So that would keep him in the clear of me being suspicious. And then that will, yeah, and that would allow him a chance to do what he wanted to do. So he's busy spending time with somebody else, whomever he promised to be with all day long, whether it was one person's house, person's house. But I do notice right here, he would come back with multiple plates. And I'm like, why are you bringing all these plates when you have all the food to cook here? Now, mind you, this was last 4th of July. This wasn't this 4th of July because we were not together. This was last 4th of July. I'm busy waiting. I'm hungry. And then he's going to tell me, well, it's food in the refrigerator. You could have eaten that. And I'm like, what was the purpose of me spending all this money for all this other food if you were not going to be here? If I was going to be hungry, I could have just went over to someone else's house. Now, two things. He kept me in his house because he wanted to keep me isolated from everybody else, because at least he knew where I was at, and I couldn't go around and, be at anyone else's house. And the second thing is that he kept me in because I guess it just kept me from being able to see him in the street, with his lies. So how the narcissist is on holidays, if the narcissist has somewhere to go and he has a significant other or a friend, he's going to lie to that significant other to go ahead and go over to his other supplies houses. And like I say, he had multiple places. So I don't know if he went to multiple supplies houses or if it was just one. But I know he did say, yeah, one of the people from the church, I stopped at their house and they said that they can cook and I want to test the food out. If you want some, you can have some. So I would never eat that food because I'm like, I don't know where he's been, or what's going on. So it just looked nasty anyway. So I would never, even try to eat it. But he always come back as if he had just been over only to the pastor's house. When I think back on it now, knowing that he's a compulsive liar, which narcissists are, that he was probably at another supplier's house and most likely multiple supplier's house. He made his rounds, and I guess with him telling me that, he never, or no one from the church ever invites him to their to their festivities during the holidays. That just kept me, that kept my mind from wandering. So once again, the narcs and the holidays, if he's going somewhere, he's going to lie about it. He's going to try to leave you at home. At least this is what happened with me. And then I remember during the Christmas holiday, he was waiting for his son to invite him over to his son's place. So while he was doing that, once again, he said, don't nobody want to have me over. So he was at home moping. I guess checking his phone. But I do know that narcs and on holidays, they have to be somewhere. They have to be with someone. They cannot be alone. They literally go crazy. So I do remember it was Christmas morning, December 2020. And I pretty much had gone no contact with him, but he was still hoovering me. I remember he blowed my phone up over and over and over and over and blowing up. He was going from the FaceTime to the FaceTime phone, text message, calling me on FaceTime, calling me on the phone, texting me over and over and over again until I picked it up. Before I picked up the phone, I first said, hey, did you not get the message from the other pastor that I'm not talking to you anymore? And then he basically wanted to say, I just wanted to talk to you and your mom for the holidays. It's the holidays. So he made sure that he continuously harassed me until I picked that phone up. And then, of course, when I picked the phone up, of course, he calmed down. And then I paid him a visit later on because I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and visit him on this holiday. And of course, he was at home alone. And then I asked him, I'm like, hey, where's your little chick? Where's your chick? I'm like, is she at her family's place? Because by this time I knew what was going on, because I had just decided I'm just going to cut all of this off. But he decided that he wanted to contact me because that new supply was gone. So I guess he thought that he was going to play around while she was gone. I guess I was supposed to be a part of, the old supply, because the new supply was gone at the time. The new supply at the time was gone. I guess I was the backup supply for what he needed at that time, because he looked terrible. He didn't shave. He was just like, he was smelly, and he was by himself, and he was like, I asked him, I'm like, are you cooking? And he was like, no, my son is supposed to be cooking or whatever. He was like, well, I'll just wait here. And needless to say, his son never contacted him. He did end up, the narc did end up spending a little bit of time with me, and then he came over to my mom's place, and then I guess he went back home. And because his son did not reach out to him, and because he did not have his supply at the time there, that he just spent his time, his holiday, sleeping. So a few key things that I want you to remember: if the narc has somewhere to go on a holiday, they're going to try to keep you distance. At least with me, this is how mine went: keep me distance so that he can go and run the streets. He lied to keep me from, thinking otherwise, because I was the current supply. Number two, if they do not have anywhere to go, they're losing their minds. So with all of that phone calling, with all those harassing calls and things, he was basically hoovering me because he needed some supply at that point. He did not like the feeling of being alone. He needed somebody at that time, right? So if the new supply or the current supply is not available, guess what? He's going to try to hoover the past or his past supply to get what he needs. So hopefully this helped you out with how the narcs act on holidays. Be blessed. Continue on in your healing journey. And as always, please like, share, comment on the video. I love the engagement. Have a great day.